Hello students, myself Mazmina Begum. Today I am going to start with a revision class of the second chapter of political science, that is international organizations, the United Nations organizations and others. So we have already discussed about this chapter in details in our previous sessions. Today we are going to give a brief descriptions of this topic. Okay, so United Nations organization. We have already come to know that United Nations organization is an international organization. It is an intergovernmental organization which was formed right after the end of the Second World War. So it was formed in the year 1945. On 24th of October 1945, the United Nations organization came into being. And since then onwards, 24th October is celebrated as World's UN Day. Its headquarters is located in New York in Manhattan. And at the time of its formations, 51 member states was there. So now it is necessary for us to know why this UNO was formed. So its basic objective was to prevent the world from the future world wars, so that no any future world war takes place. For that purpose, this international organization, that is United Nations organization, was formed. Okay, so apart from it, there are also other basic important objectives of United Nations organizations, and these are maintenance of international peace and security, to establish just and honorable relations among the nations, to protect the fundamental rights and human rights of its citizens, okay, of the citizens of different nations. Okay, moreover, again, to settle any kinds of disputes in a very peaceful way. So all this comes under the basic objectives of United Nations organizations, and this is also a very important topic on part of your exam. Okay, students. Okay, so next is the principle of UNO. So this is another important questions that may come in your exam, that is principles of UNO. So that means based upon which principles UNO works. Okay, so always remember that it is mandatory for all the member states of UNO to follow all the norms of the UN Charter. Okay, so as in respective nations or respective countries, the laws are mentioned in the constitution of that particular country. Similarly, in the universal level, in the international level, all the laws, all the international rules and regulations, international treaties, agreements, and regarding every international laws, it is mentioned in the UN Charter. Okay, so it is mandatory for all its member states to abide by the UN Charter. Okay, and that is one of the foremost principle of United Nations organizations. Again, it is another important principle of international organization, that is UNO, to settle all the disputes in a very harmonious way, in a very peaceful way. Okay, and United Nations organizations also works on the principle of providing equal sovereignty to all its member states. Okay, moreover, it is again another important duty of all the member states of UN to abide by the international norms, rules, regulations, and the orders of UNO. Okay, so orders of UNO, that means they must be ready to follow any command of the UNO. Yes, each and every member state should make themselves ready to help any of the other member states of UNO if UNO asks for. Yes, so this comes under the principles of United Nations organizations. Okay, so next let us come to the organs of UNO. So what are the organs of United Nations organizations? We have come to know that there are 6 important organs of United Nations organizations. These are UN General Assembly, UN Security Council, Economic and Social Council, Trusteeship Council, International Court of Justice, and the Secretariat. So all these 6 organs of the United Nations organizations has its own basic functions. Yes, so these organs are made in order to perform their own specialized functions. Yes, they are given their own important duties and they have to perform their duties as per their responsibilities. Okay, So first of all, let us come to the UN General Assembly. So UN General Assembly, this is the most important organ of UNO, and it is one of the vast organ of UNO. It is the biggest organ of UNO. Okay. So now, what is the most important functions of the UN General Assembly? So it is the most deliberative, policy making and representative organ of the UNO. Okay, so it is very necessary for us to remember that United Nations is the policy making and representative organ of UN General Assembly is the policy making and representative organ of the UNO, and it appoints the major, that means all the major appointments are done by the UN General Assembly. Okay, so the UN Secretary General, who is one of the important persons in this United Nations organizations, he is also appointed by the UN General Assembly. Clear? So next is the UN Security Council. So UN Security Council, its main function is to provide security to all its member states. Yes, to establish a peaceful state, or to establish just and honorable relations among the nations, is one of the important functions of the Security Council. Yes, to establish peace and security among all its member states is the important functions of the Security Council. And the Security Council consists of total 15 member states. Yes, so there are 5 permanent member states and 10 non-permanent member states. Okay, so we all know what are these 5 permanent member states. So the 5 permanent member states are USA, Great Britain, France, Russia and China. So these 5 permanent member states of the UN Security Council enjoys a power which is known as the veto power. Yes, so you all know what is veto power, right? So in my previous sessions I have already talked to you regarding this important power of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. Okay, so what is this veto power now? So veto power is one of the important power of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. Mind it, not the non-permanent members. Okay, only the 5 permanent members of UN Security Council can exercise this power. So it implies what? It means that regarding a particular subject matter, if a particular permanent member states or if any one of the member states withdraw its support, yes, then that matter can never become a law. Okay, or that decisions can never be taken. That means in order to take any of the important decisions, all these 5 member states must give their consent. Yes, so equal consent of all the 5 member states is very necessary in order to take a decisions regarding the any international matter. If any one of the permanent member states withdraw its support, then that decisions can never be taken. So that is the power which is known as the veto power. Okay, and this can be exercised by all the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. Clear? Okay, so next one is the Economic and Social Council. So Economic and Social Council is another important organ of the UN, and it always try to solves all the international economic, social, cultural and educational problems of the member states. Yes, so all these social, economic, cultural and educational and the health related problems of its member states are solved through this Economic and Social Council. So this is its functions. Okay, so the next one is the Trusteeship Council. Okay, so the Trusteeship Council was formed to make the people of the countries under its jurisdictions progress in field of economic, political, social and educational field. Okay, so this is another important organ of United Nations organizations. So the next one is International Court of Justice. We all know that this is the lawmaking organ. It is not the lawmaking organ, it is the judicial organ of the United Nations organizations. So judicial organs, yes, that means it provides justice in the international level. Okay, so if there arise any kinds of disputes, any kinds of conflicts between two member states, yes, so in such circumstances these disputes are solved through international laws. Yes, and based upon the international laws, the International Court of Justice will provide justice to these member states. Yes, whatever will be the verdict of the ICJ, that is International Court of Justice, is the final verdict for them, and the member states, that means the disputed states or the conflict states, they must follow all this, that means all the final verdict of the International Court of Justice. Okay, so there are total 15 judges in the International Court of Justice. So this is all about the another important organ of United Nations organizations. Clear? Okay, so next is the Secretariat. As I have already told you that the Secretariat is the heart of United Nations organizations. Yes, so it is mainly concerned with the departmental functions. All the departmental functions are being exercised by the Secretariat. Okay, and here the Secretary General played a very important role. So the present Secretary General of United Nations organization is Antonio Guterres, and he is being appointed by whom? By the UN General Assembly. And while appointing the UN Secretary General, the Security Council, also advice of the Security Council matters a lot. Yes, so under the advice of the UN Security Council, the UN General Assembly appoints the Secretary General. Okay, so this is all about Secretariat. So now we have found that there are 6 important organs of the United Nations organizations. So apart from these organs, there are also various other organs of United Nations organizations, or we can also say that there are various agencies of United Nations organizations. For example, UNHRC, United Nations Human Rights Commissions. Yes, Food and Agricultural Organizations, International Monetary Fund. Yes, United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, World Health Organizations, United Nations Developmental Programs. So all this comes under various agencies of United Nations organizations. Yes, so we have found that apart from the permanent organs of United Nations organizations, there are also various other organs or agencies which we have discussed. Okay, so next is about the United Nations organizations and world peace. Yes, so world peace, we all know that how peace can be established in the world. Yes, so in order to establish peace in the world, what is necessary? All the factors which hampers the peace are to be removed completely from the world, right? And for that purpose, UNO is taking necessary initiatives. Okay, so now it is very essential for us to know what are the things that is hampering the world peace. Yes, which is working as a or coming as a barrier in the maintenance of world peace. So we all know that the possibilities of the wars. Here we can give the example of the relationship between India and China. We all know that in the present days the relationship between India and China is not going well. Yes, so there is the very much possibility of war in between the two countries. So we can talk about the reasons that China is controlling our Indian borders. Yes, so we can say about the Galwan Valley. Yes, right, we can say about Galwan Valley, then Pangong. Yes, that spot. So hot spring, this is another spot, isn't it? So all these spots are certain border areas of India and Pakistan, India and China, and it is seen that China is controlling over this borders. Yes, over the area of, we can directly see that it is occupying over the Indian land. Okay, so that is why the possibilities of war between India and China is increasing, and this may lead to, or this may hamper the world peace. Yes, so now it is very essential for us to know how United Nations organizations, or what will be the role of United Nations organizations in the maintenance of this world peace. Okay, so next one, we can say that not only because of war but also because of various kinds of epidemics, various kinds of pandemics, there is a threat to world peace, right? So now we can also give the example of coronavirus. Yes, COVID-19. So this is the stage that we are going through, the pandemics of COVID-19 all over the world, right? And this is also, it is a serious threat to world peace. People of all over the world is facing this problem, and we are going through a very that means serious stage. We are going through a very dangerous period, isn't it? So this is another threat to world peace, in the enjoyment of world peace. Okay, so apart from this, we can also say about any other disputes in the world, for example other boundary demarcation issues. Then we can also speak about terrorism's problem. We can also speak about the environmental issues, right? So we can also speak about different human rights violations cases. So all these things are a, that means a barrier to the enjoyment of world peace or maintenance of world peace. Okay, so now it is very essential for us to know how United Nations organizations will work in the maintenance of this world peace, right? So United Nations organizations is taking various initiatives in order to maintain world peace. For example, it is providing various laws through the UN Charter, yes, and all its member states are bound to accept that laws, rules and regulations, as we have already discussed in the principles of UNO. Moreover, we know that this is a nuclear age, right? So nuclear age, that means each and every country today possesses certain nuclear weapons, atom bombs, so all this. So if there occurs a war between two countries, so both the countries will have the possibility of using nuclear weapons, right? So now using of nuclear weapons, we all know that it will create a lot of devastations, lot of destructions, isn't it? Because it cannot be a peaceful way. Using of nuclear weapons can never be a peaceful one, yes. So it will create a lot of devastations, lot of destructions all over the world. So now in order to maintain world peace, so that no of the two countries, if they engage into a war, so that they do not use any kinds of nuclear weapons, for that purpose United Nations organization is adopting various kinds of important treaties, yes. So here the important treaties can be said like partial test ban treaty, yes, PTBT, comprehensive test ban treaty, CTBT. Then we can speak about SALT 1, SALT 2, yes. SALT 1, it means Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty 1. SALT 2, Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty 2. Then we can also speak about NPT, that is Non-Proliferation Treaty. Yes. So all these, START 1, START 2. So all these are certain treaties which are adopted by United Nations organizations, and the member states of the UNO are required to follow these treaties. Okay, so that really the peace can be established in our world, in the whole world. Clear? So this is in brief about UNO and world peace. Okay, so next topic is about United Nations organizations and human rights commissions. Now I have already discussed about this topic in details. So human rights is the basic rights of human beings which are inherent in them, yes, since their birth. Okay, so these rights helps them to live a dignified life. Okay, so that is why now we can realize what is the importance of human rights, isn't it? So human rights is such an important topic, but such an important rights for all the human beings. But in spite of it, we can see that there is a lot of human rights violation cases, isn't it? So all over the world there are a lot of, we can see that in almost all the countries of the world there is a proper law protecting system, isn't it? That is proper judicial system, yes. A law that means proper maintenance of law and order system is there in each and every country. But in spite of it, we can see that there is violation of rights of human beings, isn't it? So why it is taking place? Yes, very frequently we can see that there is the violation of human rights in different nations. We can give the example of Somalia, isn't it? We can give the example of USA. So as I have already discussed in the previous sessions, George Floyd, he was the person, isn't it, who was being killed by the police, that who was a white man. George Floyd was a black man and he was being killed by a white policeman, isn't it? So that is another example of, that is also of racial discriminations which is violating the human rights. Yes. So next, various kinds of sexual harassment, various kinds of dowries, cases of dowries, witch killings, that is very common in Assam as well as in all over India. So all these cases are also examples of human rights violations. Okay, so now the thing is that we have seen that these rights should be protected by the constitution of that particular nations, but in spite of the presence of the constitutions and a proper law and order system, these rights are violated. So now what will be the work of UNO in this regard? Yes, what is the basic objectives of UNO in order to protect the human rights system? So UNO, that is United Nations Organization, is also taking various important initiatives in order to protect the human rights all over the world, and for that purpose we can say about UDHR, that is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was formed on 10th of December 1948. Yes, and that is why 10 December is celebrated as World Human Rights Day. Apart from it, UNO also had made compulsory for different member states or for its member states to adopt a National Human Rights Commission. India too have adopted its National Human Rights Commissions in the year 1993. Okay, and apart from, I have already discussed about the formations of the National Human Rights Commissions, about its compositions in the previous sessions. I hope it is clear to you all. And it is also necessary for us to know that not only in the international level, not only in the national level, but the state level is also taking initiatives in order to protect the human rights of the citizens of their respective states. And for that purpose, Assam is also taking necessary initiatives in this regard, and for that purpose Assam Human Rights Commission was set up on 19th of March 1996. Yes, so this is all about your second chapter, that is United Nations Organizations. Thank you so much.